Welcome across America and around the world to the hour of the time. This is the only hour that ever was or ever will be. This is the most important hour in your entire life. For during this hour, you will decide your future and thus our collective futures. You are listening to this broadcast, folks, because you can't help it. You've heard several editions of the hour of the time now. And you've learned that you cannot predict at all what you're going to hear on this show. You've already learned that you're going to hear things on this show that you will not ever hear anywhere else in any media, print, broadcast, television. I don't care. The reason is I don't owe anybody anything, period. I only have me to answer to, and I'm not a professional broadcaster, folks. No. This is something I'm doing because the opportunity arose to educate mass numbers of people around the world, and so I took it. If they cut me off and throw me off the air tomorrow, it won't mean a hill of beans to me, so holding the threat of losing this means nothing either. You see, the reason you don't hear information like you hear on the hour of the time on other radio broadcasts or on television or in the print is because those people have a vested interest in the furtherance of their career. They are professional journalists, professional television commentators, or professional radio hosts. It is amazing to me that you really believe that there's a free press anywhere in the world. The truth, folks, is that the only free press is for those who own the press. You'd better understand that. For instance, for many, many years now, efforts have been made by brave congressmen to introduce and have bills passed to audit the Federal Reserve, to abolish the Federal Reserve and return to constitutional money, yet you have never seen any hint of that anywhere in any media. Last Sunday night, on this radio show, The Hour of the Time, you heard, for the first time, a complete, logical, accurate, and scientific explanation of the truth about the ozone hoax. And you've never heard it anywhere else, and you never will hear it anywhere else, and we're going to continue with that tonight because there's more information about the ozone hoax, and there's more information about CFCs and who's responsible for wanting them banned and who's going to profit by all of this. And you'll only hear it here, folks, nowhere else. Nowhere else. And because you never know what you're going to hear on this show, even for those of you who may hate this show and who may have a strong dislike for me personally, you will always listen to this show because it's exciting. Because you hear information you can't hear anywhere else. And because when you go and try to prove me wrong, you always learn that I am right. But you have to understand, my constant admonition to you all is this, and you must obey this admonition for your own good. You must not believe ever anything that you hear on this show, or on the Chuck Harder Show, or the Tom Valentine Show, or the Larry King Show, or from Dan Rather, or Ted Koppel, or from George Bush, Bill Clinton, H. Ross Perot, or indeed even your own mother. But irregardless, you will always continue to listen to this show because you can't help yourself. Many of you are thirsting for knowledge, and this is the only place you're going to get a lot of it, aside from your own efforts. With your own efforts, you can dig out anything that I can give you here. But I can help you and steer you on the right track and give you hints and clues and give you information to go and try and prove wrong. And in the process, you will learn many things that you would not ever have known without that process. I know that many of you out there have been helping me in this fight for a long time. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And those of you who are not helping in this fight, I hope that this program can stimulate you to begin. Now, we've got something else to talk about here, folks, because remember what I told you? A nation, a world of people who cannot use their intelligence are no better than animals who do not have intelligence. Such people are beasts of burden and stakes on the table by choice and consent. Let me tell you something. If you can't think for yourself, we don't want you listening to this show. This show is for people who think for themselves. People who go out and verify information for themselves or prove it wrong for themselves. We don't want people listening to this show if they have to ask somebody else if they should listen to this show, or if the show is credible, or if I am credible. Those of you who have called Tom Valentine and Chuck Harder to ask if you should listen to this show, or if I am credible, or if the information I give on this show is credible, you are not the kind of people that this show is meant for. Indeed, you're fools, because you need somebody else to tell you what to do. You cannot use your brain or think for yourself, and we only have one piece of advice for those of you who fit that bill. Only one, and absolutely only one. And this is exactly what I want you people to do.
Hit the road, Jack.
Oh, yes, we really do mean it. We really do mean it. We don't want anybody's little puppets listening to this radio show. No, sir. We need people who can think for themselves. People who cannot think for themselves are always controlled by somebody else, are always little puppets hanging by the end of someone's string, and when that person pulls that string, that little puppet always dances. Always. So, if you can't think for yourself, if you've got to call somebody and ask them if you should listen to this show, especially after I've told you who's behind this and what they worship, the sun, Osiris, the light, Lucifer, Satan, and you call somebody who works for the Sun Radio Network to ask them if I'm credible? Oh boy, people. You really take the cake, some of you. This show is for thinkers, individual thinkers, people who can use their brains, people who have a chance to save this country and thus freedom for the world. Well, last Sunday, folks, you heard about the ozone hoax, and I'm just going to recap for just a few seconds because I'm going to continue with where last week left off.